There are a huge 5 Group 1 races at Rosehill in Sydney this weekend, and we're about to have a look at 3 of them. The man to the right of me has well and truly had his work cut out this week. Brad, have you slept at all?
Not a lot, no, but this is what we live for. Form analysts, anyone in the racing game, these are the weeks that you love when they come around, and Golden Slipper Day is one of those. So a bit of a quick-fire segment this one. We're going to go through a Galaxy, we're going to go through a Rosehill Guineas and a George Rider, and the George Rider in particular looks to be pretty stacked. All right, well, let's get stuck into the first one. It is the Galaxy, and here's the market. Private Harry's the $3.20 favourite. Yes, he is. So he has to step up from what he's done in the past, but I do think he has the right profile to do that. Commemorative, trained by Godolphin. She is a big, imposing tank of a filly, so she'll love getting down to 51 kilos. Brias has drawn the car park, unfortunately, but if he can overcome that, he's a pretty smart horse. Growing Empire, a 3-year-old, $8, and then double figure or longer the rest. However, this is a race that has thrown up a few strange results, a few big upsets, so I wouldn't turn anyone away from backing a horse outside of the market to this point. So we'll show you one replay, and that is Private Harry. Now, this is what Private Harry did in Queensland at his last start before spelling. He settled outside the lead, he absorbed pressure, and just look at the way that he finds and puts a margin on them late.
Heading the other Stolly Bolly, Private Harry took over. 250 metres left to run. Private Harry put 2 lengths on Spicy Martini. There's no Lady of Camelot, but it's Private Harry, 100 metres left to run. Lady of Camelot runs to second late, then Arabian Summer. But look at him go, Private Harry won the Sunlight. Far too good for Lady of Camelot and Arabian.
And the subsequent form through that race has been strong. Lady of Camelot was in second. She was a little bit unlucky, but he was far too good for his rivals. Even Arabian Summer was thereabouts, and Elmore Zillow has come out and won, and she was well back in 5th. So it's a race of small margins. So 11 of the past 20 Galaxies have been won by 0.3 of a length or less. And I think where he gets to in the run, getting a card across to settle just in behind the speed, he gets his chance to make those small margins count. And on the topic of the jockey, Ash Morgan, and the trainer Nathan Doyle, these two, they're chasing their first Group 1 victory. So it'd be a great story if they could get the job done. Private Harry goes in on top, and the value pick is Front Page. Go back 12 months ago, and he was narrowly beaten in this race. So he'll do his thing from out in front, and he's a great fresh horse.
I can only imagine the celebrations from Ash and Nathan if they do get this home. It would be an amazing story. All right, from a sprinting race to a little bit of a staying event, over the 2,000 metres is the Rosehill Guineas. Yeah, so broadsiding currently $1.90. I think that's very short, but he's a quality horse. Swift Falcon there coming through that same Randwick Guineas form line. He is $5. Gold Rush Guru coming through the Australian Guineas. Now, this is a horse that did win the VRC Derby, so he's got stamina on his side. And then you've got the filly, Aliana. Has been a long time since a filly has won this race, but I think she has a pretty likeable profile. So I'm thinking the winner's likely coming from those 4. If there's a wild card, maybe it is Checkmate. We'll touch on him a little bit later. But that Randwick Guineas will show you a replay of this performance. There's a bit to dissect here because Linebacker was a touch too good, but it was a fast run, 1,600 metres, and he had the extra run under his belt. Whereas Swift Falcon, broadsiding Aliana, were probably just caught on the hop.
Swift Falcon's chiming in. Aliana can't go with them. Linebacker now trying to recall the challenger broadsiding. Linebacker on the inside of broadsiding. He's digging in deep. So's Linebacker though. Linebacker still in front from broadsiding. Swift Falcon. Linebacker wins the Guineas. Linebacker a half length to broadsiding and Swift Falcon. Aliana 4th. Followed then.
So the Randwick Guineas is the strongest form reference going into. There's no great surprise there, given you've got Rosehill Guineas or Randwick Guineas into the Rosehill Guineas as that 2-week platform. So broadsiding has been backed. As I say though, I think he's short enough. There you go, 10 of the past 20 winners coming through the Randwick Guineas. So I've got Aliana on top here. Now you go back through history and it's not really kind to the fillies. It has been a long time since they have won this race. But I think she gets the right setup. We saw in that replay she was just out-sprinted by the colts, the boys, and she was coming again through the line. So last preparation she was sharp enough to get away with it over the mile. This time in, I think she's more so running to her pedigree. Now she is side by Castel Vecchio, so with that in mind and the fact that she's $7 against broadsiding's $1.90, I think she is the bet in the race to this point, and she draws to get the right run just in behind the speed. Value pick, Checkmate. Now he's coming through New Zealand form, but as we've learnt over the years, Kirsten, with these 2,000 metre 3-year-old races, you always have to respect the Kiwis, and the upside with this horse is that he gets out to 2,000 metres for the first time in his career.
And Blake Shin in the saddle, we've seen what he's done all over the world, but in particular in New Zealand, how he's bonded with these horses. So coming over here, I don't think there's probably anyone better in the saddle for checkmate.
I think that's a fair shout. Yep, he's a very good rider.
And question regarding, you've picked a filly on top. Why has this race not been as kind to the fillies? Is it just an age thing where the colts are just more forward?
I don't think many of your top liners tend to go here because you've got the Vinery, which is in a week's time, and we've got Treasure of the Moment, who is a really talented filly in Melbourne. So I'm thinking that Chris Waller's just had a look at the setups of both of those races, and he's backing Aliana to beat the boys and then potentially dodge Treasure of the Moment. So it could be an astute piece of placement.
Smart, I like it. All right, let's move on to a 1,500 metre race next, and this is the George Rider. Take us through this market.
Yeah, good race this one. So Fangirl is your current favourite at $2.90. She is popular, albeit she has a bit of a mission there on Saturday because there doesn't look to be a lot of speed in the race, and she's drawn to get a long way back. Royal Patronage, he'll be at the opposite end of the field. He was a good winner of the Canterbury Stakes there. First up, Wolf, who I like without giving too much away at this early point. Tom Kitten has been back $6.50, and Steffi Magnetica, everything that could have gone wrong did go wrong for Steffi there in the Canterbury Stakes. She's certainly better than that. So again, a race where there's going to be a few different opinions floating around, but I'm going to show you a replay of the Canterbury Stakes. Now keep in mind that Wolf was back in journey here when there was intention to go to 1,600 metres. He missed that run, back in trip, and he's lining up against a lot of the best sprinters in the country here, yet he more than holds his own.
Switzerland there, Wolf going back to the inside, running on. Steffi's run a race. Header Shock just in front. Royal Patronage looms large on the outside. Header Shock and Royal Patronage clear from Magic Time. Royal Patronage, Header Shock slugging it out, and Royal Patronage got the upper hand and won the Canterbury Stakes. A long neck to Header Shock. Magic Time third in front of Sunshine in Parison. Wolf fifth. Further back.
Yeah, so we're into the guts of the autumn now, but you go back to the end of the spring, and Wolf was the horse that jumped out of the ground and announced himself as the best miler in the country, the way that he won the Epsom and then the King Charles. So I'm thinking he is still the best miler in the country, and we're getting $5.50 to find out. So any chance to get a wink stat in there, but she won this race 4 times in a row, 2016 and 2019, so all the way through there. And she, of course, had that amazing winning streak. Yeah,
you didn't want to be a horse competing against her, did you? You could just kiss your career away pretty much.
Yeah, just be happy for second.
Yeah, the bridesmaid, never the bride. That was Winks's job. All right, tips for this event, the George Rider Stakes.
Yeah, Wolf, I think $5.50 is a really good punt. So he's a horse that improves with racing. Third up now, he should be just about ready to peak. Just needs a bit of like angling off the fence at the right time, given his pattern. If there's a value runner, I think it's Buckaroo, so not easy for a horse coming back from a Caulfield Cup and a Melbourne Cup campaign, but I've been impressed by the way that he's trialled, and he too draws to get a soft run on the fence. Those horses that are going to be out the back here might have their work cut out.
All right, you're going to be trackside on Saturday?
I will be there in the morning.
You will be. Well, punters, you might not be able to be, but make sure you tune in across Sky Racing. We've got you covered across the network.